Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Today we are going to take a look at Mercury retrograding into a conjunction with Venus in the sign of Virgo. This is an interesting exchange because Mercury, after connecting with Venus, will retrograde back into the sign of Leo. As it does so, it'll meet Uranus in a square. Venus is coming off from that square. Venus, in the meantime, will be progressing over the course of the next month into a trine with Uranus as Mercury turns direct and goes back through a square with Uranus. So there's a kind of weaving that's taking place between Mercury, Venus, and Uranus during this Mercury retrograde. We're going to look at that today, but we're also going to give you a list of things to watch for given today's meeting of Mercury and Venus. So that is our agenda for today. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Share your comments and reflections. We love hearing from you. You can find transcripts of any of these daily talks on the website, which is nightlightastrology.com. Remember, we're trying to get to 70,000 subscribers by the fall equinox. See if we can get there. I think we're a little over 3,000 subscribers away. So if you like this channel and you listen to it regularly, please consider subscribing and helping us get the word out there about our channel and our community. We really appreciate it. And I want to take you over now to the website to show you a couple of things that are coming up, which I hope you will be interested in. Here we go. All right. Go to the events page, click on live talks, and you're going to see the next 3 monthly webinars that I have coming up. On August 22nd, I am teaching a webinar on the 8th house, the place of karmic debts. I am also giving a talk on September 19th on Venus through the zodiac. We're looking at Venus's love languages and the unique story that Venus tells in our life as she transits through each sign of the zodiac, and we find her in different signs in our birth chart. And then on October 17th, I'm giving a talk called The Myth of Astrological Compatibility, what everybody gets wrong about the astrology of relationships. I think you will find all of these talks entertaining, and they're appropriate really for students of all levels. There's something there for everyone. And when you register, you'll get the link to join. And if you can't attend live, we send you the recording afterward. So hope to see you there. And on that note, let's switch over to the real-time clock so that we can look at today's transit. So first of all, very basic. Hello, Mercury and Venus today into tomorrow. If I step this forward one day, you'll see that by tomorrow, Mercury's retrograde has taken it through the conjunction with Venus and Virgo. And so they are getting together today, Wednesday, August 7th. You have been probably feeling them for a little while now, as Venus just recently entered Virgo at the beginning of the week. And then we, of course, have the two planets coming together to join this week on today and tomorrow. So, you could have been feeling this building. Some of the things we're going to talk about today, you might have been feeling at the start of this week as Mercury turned retrograde. They're already pretty close in the engagement. And so you're going to be feeling this as well. If we stretch it out just a little bit, give them about 3 degrees of separation, you'll be feeling this through Saturday. Or you may notice some of the significations we're talking about today through Saturday. I would anticipate the strongest being somewhere between yesterday and tomorrow. All right, anyhow. So that is the combination that we are looking at. But I want to connect this to an interesting sequence of events. Let's take this back in time just a touch. And what I want you to notice is that Friday, August 2nd, and we talked about this last week, Venus squared Uranus as she appeared as the evening star. Now, she switches into Virgo, and Mercury's retrograde will shortly carry Mercury back into Leo, and then Mercury will square Uranus. So here we can see the square taking place. This is about August 17th. And the reason that's so interesting is that square is a repeat for Mercury, who went through the square earlier in the summer. But what's also interesting is here's the cazimi between Mercury and the Sun on the 18th. And then the Sun squares Uranus on the 19th. So we've got a lot of Uranian action right around that full moon that will also square Uranus on the 19th. Take this forward just a touch, and when we see Mercury turn direct, it is turning direct and finishing its cycle as Venus's host. By the way, Venus in Virgo is in Mercury's sign, as Venus makes the trine to Uranus at the end of the month. This is about August 27th. So then take this forward. Mercury stations right after Venus trines Uranus. And then Mercury's direct movement, will take Mercury into a square with Uranus one last time. And this will happen around September 7th. So the point is that we have had a kind of, there's an intimate connection. In other words, bring this all the way back to the beginning of the month where we are standing right now. And their connection, Venus and Mercury, suggests that there's a little plot going on between Mercury and Venus and Uranus. The two planets are meeting and toning the outset of the retrograde cycle, which then carries into these contacts with Uranus that happen at critical points during the Mercury retrograde cycle. Mercury squares Uranus right before Cazimi, as Venus's ruler, as Venus is going through an opposition with Saturn, and as the full moon comes through. And then very quickly after, we have Mercury going into its station as Venus trines Uranus. So, and then we get one last square from Mercury to Uranus by September 6th. So we've had one in direct motion, one in retrograde motion, now again direct motion. So it's a fascinating sequence, and the main thing that I'm wanting us to think about is the fact that today's Mercury-Venus conjunction is not your average conjunction because of these little details that sort of bookend the retrograde process of Mercury, who is Venus's host. All right, so I'm going to tell you some things to watch for. If there's students watching, I'm sure you got a lot out of that. For some of you watching who maybe do not know as much about astrology, that might have been over your head, but this next part where we unpack some of the archetypal symbolism should be easier to follow. Number one, when Mercury is retrograde and meets Venus at the outset of the retrograde cycle, their meeting is toning the cycle. And so we have a process of revision, which is one way of looking at every Mercury retrograde, that is focused on something Venusian. Mercury is revising something Venusian, in other words. What could be considered Venusian? Well, the relationship with the body, to a certain extent, the relationship with the body and its health, especially in the sign of Virgo, that has a great concern for the topic of purity. So the body, sensuality, health, and purity. This could also have something to do with aesthetics, something that Venus rules and something that Mercury can come in with an editorial eye for and say, look, here's how we improve upon the beauty of something. Here is how we make adjustments to the presentation and how it is received, or if it is beautiful or aesthetically pleasing, or if we are meeting the needs or desires of the audience. Mercury visiting Venus at the outset of a Mercury retrograde cycle can bring revisions into relationships, often through new or different ways of perceiving or organizing or talking or communicating. Mercury can bring revisions through conversation or through analysis of some kind, or through meticulous plotting and planning and sorting into relationships. Or just even more broadly and generically speaking, Mercury retrograde says something's got to change in relationships, and that's it. So Mercury revising something Venusian would be part one. That is maybe the most basic and general thing we could say about their meeting today, is watch what's coming up for review. Watch what is the feedback that we're receiving. Mercury could be said to be critiquing Venus right now. And you have to be careful with that, because sometimes especially in the sign of Virgo, and Venus is in her fall in this sign, there are things like body dysmorphia, or there is when the mirror is never saying anything nice or pleasant. So we want to be careful because there's a natural tension between Mercury and Venus, such that Venus may never feel like she's good enough for the critical, analytical eye of Mercury or the mind. On the other hand, anytime that you have these two planets get together in a sign like Virgo, you do have things like the fine tuning of artistic skills, the development of craftsmanship, and the ability to make things that are meticulous and beautiful at once. So the analytical, critiquing eye of Mercury coming to Venus could provide some really nice improvements, or some kind of useful feedback for Venus. At the same time, be careful of an over-judging or criticizing faculty that is being applied to Venusian things and might be too harsh or perfectionistic. Number 3 would be setbacks or delays for Venus. Mercury retrograde can bring setbacks or delays or changes in plan or shifts in schedule or itinerary, or needing to go back and look at something. But when the outside of the cycle connects with Venus, and then we see all of these interactions that we listed here between Mercury and Uranus, Venus and Uranus, it is possible that we're taking a step back in order to take 2 steps forward, or that there is a temporary way in which Venus is being asked to wait on something, or carefully almost like repeat or revise a process from the past. But watch for Venusian things: love, beauty, sex, body, our values, how we create friendships and meaningful connections with other people. Watch for those things to be up for review, and watch for potential setbacks or delays. Again, with the idea being that there's a Uranian impulse to radically change or shift or progress the story with respect to Venus. That's been the story all year with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Venus's sign. Here we have Mercury's retrograde dovetailing with that Venusian revolution, which is the theme of the year in many ways, and providing more feedback or providing some kind of complementary revisionary process that is in service of Venus, but could provide some temporary setbacks or delays. Number 4 is just the basic tension that I've already mentioned between the sensual and the rational. Venus is in her fall in Virgo, exalted in Pisces. Mercury is in its exaltation and domicile in Virgo, in its fall in Pisces. So the ancient astrologers said that there's a natural tension in these placements that provides rationale for their placements, that has to do with the tension between mental energies and sensual embodied Venusian energies. So I would just say, in general, watch for the archetypal tension between mind and body, or between words and touch, or sensual, sexual energies and nervous, restless mental energies. And the two can get along right now. A conjunction is certainly an opportunity for there to be a fusion of these energies or qualities, as in a meticulously planned diet that is based on an understanding of nutrition and the appropriate macros for your body type or whatever. Be like science, but it's a science that has to do with feeling happy and healthy and probably looking good because you're eating good food or whatever. So they can meet and mingle in positive ways. Number 5 is a Mercury-Venus remake or reorientation. Remember that, broadly speaking, we have Mercury going through 2 more aspects to Uranus at critical points during Mercury's revisionary process. Mercury is the host of Venus in Virgo, and at the very end of that process, Venus will trine Uranus, suggesting a very harmonious connection between Venus and Uranus, as Mercury is also turning direct and completing its cycles. So Mercury in service of, or in relation to, continued Venusian revolutions. that is what I've got for today. I hope this was useful, gives you some good things to think about. And I will leave it there, and we will be back tomorrow for more. And as always, if you've got any stories to share, drop them in the comments section. If you're not subscribed yet, we'd love to have you join the channel as a subscriber. Helps us grow the business and helps us get the word out about our work. So much appreciated, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.